However, many people expected interest rates to be lower than they are at the end of 2025. If you know when we hit the bottom, come and see me, and we're going to make a lot of money together. The problem is no one knows when it's going to hit the bottom. And when it does hit the bottom, there must be money left over every single month. Otherwise, in my mind, that is not a good property deal. We must get a return on our investment. This is the biggest change to property investing for the last 30 years. We need to make sure that we are being very careful about who we take in as tenants. We need to be very, very diligent on that process. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Property Magic Podcast, which is all about don't let 2025 ruin your 2026, even if you've had a good year in 2025. And the reason I'm talking about this today, I think most people have been on hold in 2025, and I don't want you to make the same mistake in 2026 because I think there's a huge opportunity cost of you not acquiring property in 2026. The reality is we are still in this buyer's market. That means there are more people looking to sell than there are looking to buy. So it's great if you are a buyer, not so good if you are a seller. Now, why have we had this uncertainty? Why have so many people been sitting back waiting to see what happens? So one of the things that's caused a lot of uncertainty and people waiting is interest rates. As you know, from February 2022, interest rates started to go up because of inflation. The Bank of England uses interest rates as a macroeconomic tool to try and control inflation. When inflation goes up, they rise interest rates. When inflation comes down, they can bring interest rates down to stimulate the economy. So the Bank of England has absolutely done that, and we've seen interest rates start to come down in 2025 because inflation was getting under control. However, many people expected interest rates to be lower than they are at the end of 2025. And because of that, but they've been holding off. They've been waiting to buy because they want to buy when the interest rates are as low as possible, which means their mortgage payments will be less, which means they'll make more cash flow. So they're waiting till the interest rates probably get as low as they're going to go. They've also been waiting for the property market to bottom out. In this buyer's market, where we have these more sellers than buyers, you'll get to a point where we get to the bottom and people say, well, I'm going to buy at the bottom of the market. By the way, that's a great time to buy. And if you know when we hit the bottom, come and see me, and we're going to make a lot of money together. The problem is no one knows when it's going to hit the bottom. And when it does hit the bottom, that's too late. Because if all the sellers and the media and the general public believe, right, it's at the bottom now, where's it going to go next? It's going to go up. That means sellers are less inclined to give you a discount because they have the hope and the expectation that someone's going to come along and offer them more money for the property. They're less inclined to sell at a discount. So instead of waiting to when interest rates are low and the market's at the bottom, buying right now is a great time to buy as long as you know what you are doing, as long as you do your due diligence, and as long as you're following the 5 golden rules of property magic, which I'm sure you know off by heart now if you regularly watch or listen to this Property Magic podcast. The 5 golden rules, of course, are we only buy from motivated sellers. In the current market, there are lots of people who are becoming more and more motivated because they really need to sell. You should only buy from motivated sellers. Number 2, we buy in an area with strong rental demand. And throughout the UK, we have really strong rental demand at the moment. That is not a problem. Number 3, this is slightly harder. We only buy properties that give us positive cash flow. That means when we get the rent each month, we take off the mortgage, the insurance, the maintenance, the management, there must be money left over every single month. Otherwise, in my mind, that is not a good property deal. We must get a return on our investment. Number 4, we're buying and holding for the long term, which means it doesn't matter what happens short term. Yes, prices might go up, might go down, they fluctuate short term. The long term in the UK, property prices go up because we live on this island with a limited amount of accommodation and an increasing population. So generally rents and values go up over time. So it doesn't matter if we have a short-term blip. And number 5, we have a cash buffer, some money put aside to cover unexpected expenses. Things may not be covered by insurance. So if we have a problem with the property, we can get it fixed, get it ready to rent out to the next people, bringing cash into us. So we follow the 5 golden rules. It doesn't really matter what's happening to property prices in the short term. But yet, a lot of people seem to be waiting to see what happens. The other things that have put people on hold, things like the renters' rights bill. This is the biggest change to property investing for the last 30 years. And we've had all this speculation about what may or may not happen. Now the renters' rights bill is coming in. It's been signed off by King Charles. It is law. It's being implemented in 2026. We need to understand it. We need to make sure we're prepared for it. But at the end of the day, if you are a good landlord and you're doing things correctly, you should be okay. Yes, it might be harder to get tenants out, but you can still get bad tenants out. Just might take a little bit longer. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that we are being very careful about who we take in as tenants. We need to be very, very diligent on that process. And also, we need to make sure our properties are the right standards, as they should obviously be. Okay, so we just need to be a bit more professional about managing our properties. And by the way, even if you have a letting agent doing it for you, you are still responsible. Even if they're doing the work, ultimately the buck stops with you. So you need to make sure a letting agent knows what they are doing. Most do, but some are still not quite up to speed with the new regulations and what is required. And all this uncertainty, you can understand, is putting many people off. And many landlords say, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. There's no point because my single lets are not making money. And I agree, because of the high purchase price, because of the high interest rates, many single lets don't stack up. I'm saying many, I'm not saying all. There are some areas where it still works, but actually there are better strategies. I believe 2026, the 2 strategies you should be thinking about are high-end HMOs. I express the importance of high-end. It's not just any HMO, because in many areas there's an oversupply of HMOs. It's got to be high-end, which should look better, they're better quality, thus they attract a better type of tenant. People are prepared to pay more, and you have lower void periods as well. So they're much, much more profitable than a normal HMO, and you're not competing with all the other HMOs. The other strategy is serviced accommodation, short-term lets, otherwise known as Airbnb. Again, you need to know what you're doing, you need to do it properly, and I think there's a bit of an oversupply. But regulation is coming to the SA market in England. It's already in place in Scotland and Wales. It's coming to England. And I think lots of the amateurs will be scared off and out of the market, which means there'll be less supply, which means rates and occupancies will also go up. So when done correctly, service accommodation can be a fantastic business. And by the way, serviced accommodation is not affected by the renters' rights bill, because you don't have tenants. At the moment, you have tenants on an AST contract, and to become an APC contract, assured periodic contract, that's a normal tenant, but you don't have normal tenants in service accommodation. They're clients, they're on a license. If they don't pay, you can get them out very, very easily. And there are some other benefits of service accommodation as well. So really, for me, if you want to get rental income, HMOs and service accommodation, they are the 2 main strategies for 2026, but you need to be doing them correctly. So make sure you're educated, get some support, get some knowledge, get out there and take action. And maybe you can pick up properties that are already set up as an HMO, already set up as service accommodation for some of these retiring or tired landlords. It's such a huge opportunity, and I still think for many people, they'll be on pause, they'll be on hold for 2026 because of the uncertainty. I believe this is going to be one of the best opportunities for you to be investing in property. So I'd like you to think about 2025. Look back. Have you achieved everything you want to achieve in 2025? Maybe you have, in which case, congratulations. But if you haven't, why is that the case? What can you do different in 2026 to make sure that this year, the next 12 months, 2026, is one of your best years yet? And I do hope you continue to watch and listen to the Property Magic podcast, which comes out every single Tuesday. If you've liked this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified anytime a new video comes out. As ever, I wish you the very best for 2026, and I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill.